Hidden in plain sight on the open sea, there exists a floating palace worth hundreds of millions of dollars, owned by one of the most powerful men on Earth. This is not just a yacht, it is a symbol of absolute wealth, secrecy, and power. Inside Saudi Prince Salman's most expensive yacht lies a secret that shocked the art world itself. Watch until the end to uncover what priceless treasure was hidden on board. The birth of a floating giant. How Serene was created. Long before the world associated this vessel with Saudi royalty, Serene was already destined to become a legend on the open sea. Launched in 2011 as one of the most ambitious private yacht projects ever attempted, stretching an astonishing 134 meters in length, a scale normally reserved for naval ships rather than personal toys of the ultra-rich. The construction was entrusted to Fincantieri, Italy's most prestigious shipbuilder, a name associated with military vessels, cruise liners, and state-level maritime engineering, not experimental luxury fantasies. The original owner was Russian vodka billionaire Yuri Shefler, the man behind the SPI group and brands that generated billions of dollars in global alcohol sales, and his vision was clear from the beginning. This yacht was never meant for charter, never meant to generate income, and never meant to follow traditional luxury yacht logic. Instead, Serene was designed as a private, self-contained floating world where cost efficiency was irrelevant and engineering difficulty was simply another challenge to overcome. The initial construction cost alone reached approximately $330 million, a figure that already placed Serene among the most expensive yachts ever built at the time, but that number only tells part of the story. What made Serene different was not just size, but complexity. The yacht required 7 decks, custom steel and aluminum structures, and an internal volume of over 8,200 gross tons, creating more interior space than many boutique hotels on land. Every system was over-engineered, from redundant power generation to stabilization technology designed to keep the yacht smooth even in rough seas, each system adding millions more to the final bill. Shefler reportedly demanded features that had never existed on a private yacht before, including spaces capable of being transformed mid-voyage, pools that doubled as tender docks, and interiors that could shift between family comfort and high-security isolation, all of which drove costs upward far beyond conventional design limits. By the time Serene was completed, insiders estimated the true project value, including custom interiors and experimental systems, was closer to $400 million, making it less a yacht and more a floating research project for extreme wealth. What mattered most, however, was symbolism. Serene was built to communicate absolute independence, the ability to live, travel, entertain, and disappear without relying on any port, government, or infrastructure. That philosophy would later make Serene irresistible to an even more powerful buyer. But at birth, this vessel already represented a new category of luxury, one where money was no longer the constraint, imagination was. And this is only the beginning, because once Serene caught the attention of Saudi Prince Salman, its story shifted from billionaire indulgence to global power symbolism. If this level of wealth already shocked you, comment below whether you think any yacht can truly justify a price above $400 million, because what happens next takes Serene into an entirely different league. The impulse purchase, how MBS bought Serene overnight. By the summer of 2015, Serene was no longer just a billionaire's experiment in excess. It had become a moving target in the Mediterranean, quietly anchored near the south of France, blending into a coastline already saturated with superyachts, yet unmistakable to anyone who understood scale, power, and symbolism. It was during this period that Mohammed bin Salman, then a rising but already influential figure within the Saudi royal structure, first laid eyes on the vessel. What followed was not a traditional negotiation, not months of valuation reports or broker-led bidding wars, but an extraordinary display of speed and financial authority rarely seen even among the global elite. Within days, not weeks, MBS signaled his intent to acquire Serene outright, bypassing public yacht listings, bypassing charter intermediaries, and bypassing the conventional luxury market entirely. Sources close to the transaction later confirmed that the agreed price landed somewhere between $458 million and $600 million, depending on interior upgrades, tenders, and onboard assets included at the time of transfer. This purchase was not impulsive in the careless sense, but decisive in the strategic sense. By 2015, MBS was already positioning himself as a central power broker in Saudi Arabia's future, overseeing defense, economic restructuring, and long-term national projects, and Serene fit into that vision not as leisure, but as mobile infrastructure. Unlike smaller yachts that function primarily as vacation tools, Serene offered total autonomy, capable of hosting heads of state, housing large security teams, and operating independently for extended periods, all while remaining invisible to public scrutiny. The secrecy of the deal was as telling as the price itself. No public announcement was made, no celebratory launch, no visible change of name or flag at first. Ownership quietly transferred through private channels, reinforcing a key principle of MBS's personal style: visibility when useful, invisibility when strategic. The yacht disappeared from familiar Mediterranean routes shortly after the transaction, fueling speculation long before confirmation of the sale became public knowledge. Financially, the acquisition represented more than $500 million in capital deployed instantly, a figure that did not include annual operating expenses estimated between $25 million and $40 million per year, nor the cost of refits that would soon follow. Yet within the context of Saudi's sovereign wealth, this sum was negligible relative to influence, especially when viewed as an asset capable of serving diplomatic, personal, and symbolic functions simultaneously. Serene had now crossed a threshold, no longer a billionaire's fantasy, but a royal instrument, and with that shift, its role, visibility, and global significance were about to expand dramatically, setting the stage for decisions that would later shock both the luxury industry and the art world. Inside Serene, the most extreme yacht features ever built. Once ownership changed hands, Serene stopped being judged as a yacht and began to be measured as a floating megastructure, a vessel whose internal scale rivals that of luxury hotels rather than private leisure craft. Stretching across 7 full decks and enclosing nearly 48,000 square feet of interior space, an amount comparable to a high-end urban shopping center, yet entirely mobile and fully autonomous at sea. Designed to host 24 guests across 12 ultra-private staterooms, Serene also carries a permanent crew of 52 professionals, each housed in purpose-built quarters spread across 30 crew cabins, creating a small but highly specialized ecosystem that operates around the clock, ensuring that every system, from climate control to security, functions without interruption regardless of location or duration at sea. What truly separates Serene from every other superyacht ever built is not size alone, but the density of extreme features integrated into that space. The yacht contains 7 separate swimming pools, an unprecedented number, including a 15-meter seawater pool that can flood and drain to function as a tender dock, allowing smaller vessels to enter the hull directly, a feature that dramatically increases both privacy and operational efficiency. Deep within the yacht lies one of its most talked about features, the snow room, maintained at -12 degrees Celsius, where artificial snow falls continuously inside a sealed chamber, an engineering feat that required custom insulation systems, independent power regulation, and constant temperature stabilization, all implemented on a moving platform surrounded by warm seawater, a contradiction made possible only by virtually unlimited engineering budgets. Even more surreal is the Nemo Room, an underwater observation lounge positioned below the waterline, finished with copper-toned interiors and reinforced viewing ports, allowing guests to sit in silence while watching marine life pass by, a feature more commonly associated with research submarines than private yachts, yet seamlessly integrated into Serene's design. Above deck, Serene carries 2 full-size helipads, each capable of supporting heavy twin-engine helicopters, with one helipad engineered to convert into either a dance floor or an additional swimming pool, a transformation that requires complex hydraulic systems and reinforced structural supports, underscoring how entertainment and logistics were designed to coexist without compromise. All of this luxury comes with a financial reality few discuss openly. The annual operating cost of Serene ranges between $25 million and $40 million per year, covering fuel consumption for 8 MTU diesel engines, crew salaries, global port fees, insurance, security systems, and constant technical maintenance required to keep such an advanced vessel operational. In this environment, Serene is no longer just a symbol of wealth, but a demonstration of what becomes possible when cost is no longer a limiting factor, a floating statement that quietly redefines the upper boundary of private luxury at sea. The $450 million painting hidden at sea. In November 2017, the art world froze in disbelief when a single painting shattered every known record at Christie's New York as Salvator Mundi, attributed to Leonardo da Vinci, sold for an unprecedented $450.3 million, instantly becoming the most expensive artwork ever purchased by a private individual, a number so extreme that it redefined how art, money, and power intersect at the highest level. For weeks, the identity of the buyer remained a mystery, fueling speculation across museums, governments, and private collectors, until investigative reports later confirmed that the final bidder was acting on behalf of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, transforming the sale from an art headline into a geopolitical moment. Because this was no longer just a painting, it was a symbol of global status acquired at a price comparable to a fleet of private jets. What followed was even more astonishing than the purchase itself. Instead of being immediately displayed in a museum or stored in a climate-controlled vault, Salvator Mundi was reportedly placed on board the superyacht Serene, a floating environment surrounded by salt water, humidity, and constant motion. A decision that quietly shocked conservators, historians, and museum directors around the world. To understand why this raised alarm, one must understand the nature of the asset itself. Salvator Mundi is painted on walnut wood, a material highly sensitive to fluctuations in temperature and moisture, meaning even minor environmental instability can cause irreversible cracking or warping, risks normally mitigated through million-dollar museum-grade preservation systems designed to operate in static, tightly controlled buildings, not moving vessels. Yet Serene, with its virtually unlimited engineering budget and annual operating costs reaching $40 million, was uniquely capable of simulating these conditions at sea. Custom climate chambers, vibration-dampening storage rooms, and isolated security zones were reportedly implemented to protect the painting, effectively turning part of the yacht into a mobile art vault, guarded as heavily as a central bank reserve. Even so, the symbolism was impossible to ignore. A $450.3 million masterpiece, once intended for public admiration, now existed in near-total secrecy, floating across international waters, unseen by scholars, critics, or the public, reinforcing the idea that at this level of wealth, ownership itself becomes more important than visibility. By 2020, the painting was quietly removed from Serene during a maintenance period and transferred to a high-security facility in Geneva, one of the world's most discreet art storage hubs, where works valued in the billions are held under strict anonymity, pending future plans. Those plans reportedly involve a future museum in Riyadh, designed to rival institutions like the Louvre, a setting where Salvator Mundi would serve not only as an artwork, but as a cornerstone of cultural influence, proving that in the modern era, art, power, and capital no longer move separately, but travel together, sometimes hidden, sometimes offshore, and always beyond ordinary reach. The hidden fleet, Pegasus 8, and the real cost of royal yachts. While Serene dominates headlines as a floating symbol of excess, it is only the visible peak of a much larger maritime portfolio, because Saudi Prince Salman does not rely on a single vessel to project power at sea, instead maintaining a multi-yacht strategy designed for flexibility, discretion, and operational redundancy across different regions of the world. The second pillar of this fleet is Pegasus 8, a superyacht measuring 78.6 meters in length, originally built in 2003 and later upgraded to meet modern ultra-luxury standards. With an estimated market value of approximately $120 million, placing it firmly within the top tier of privately owned yachts, despite being far smaller than Serene. Pegasus 8 was designed with a different philosophy, prioritizing speed, adaptability, and social hosting rather than sheer scale. It features a 12-meter outdoor swimming pool, unusually large for a yacht under 80 meters, positioned to maximize deck space while maintaining balance and structural integrity. Above it sits a convertible helipad, engineered to transform into a recreational platform, including a mini-golf driving range, a detail that illustrates how leisure functions are layered onto logistical infrastructure rather than added as decoration. Internally, Pegasus 8 accommodates up to 14 guests with a professional crew trained for rapid deployment, making it ideal for short-notice travel, regional cruising, or discreet anchoring near high-profile events where a 134-meter vessel would draw unnecessary attention. This contrast explains why Pegasus 8 is frequently positioned in the East Mediterranean, while Serene undergoes maintenance or remains stationed in Northern Europe. When viewed together, these vessels form a coordinated system rather than isolated assets. Industry analysts estimate the combined value of Prince Salman's yacht fleet to fall between $500 million and $700 million, depending on refit valuations, onboard technology upgrades, and auxiliary vessels such as high-speed chase boats and tenders, which themselves can cost several $million each. The financial commitment does not end with acquisition. Annual operating expenses for this fleet easily exceed $50 million per year, once fuel consumption, crew salaries, insurance premiums, port fees, refits, satellite communications, and maritime security are accounted for. For context, a single month of global operation for a yacht like Serene can exceed $3 million, even without guest activity. Notably, none of these yachts are available for charter, and none have ever been publicly listed for sale, a decision that sacrifices potential annual charter income of $20 million or more in exchange for absolute privacy and control. At this level of ownership, yachts are no longer luxury items, but strategic mobile assets, capable of relocating wealth, influence, and security across international waters without explanation or permission, reinforcing a reality where power does not stay in one place, it moves silently, and it floats. Power, image, and controversy around Serene. In 2017, the world received a rare reminder that even the most expensive assets are not immune to reality. When Serene, a yacht valued between $458 million and $600 million, ran aground in the Red Sea during a private voyage. The incident was handled with extreme discretion, repairs were completed quietly, and no public damage figures were released. Yet maritime experts estimated that emergency recovery, hull inspection, and propulsion repairs could have easily exceeded $10 million, even for a short grounding. Since then, Serene's movements have become increasingly strategic. From 2023 through 2025, tracking data frequently placed the yacht in the Netherlands, a global hub for elite yacht maintenance and refitting, long-term dockage, specialized engineering labor, and systems upgrades at this level are not cosmetic. Industry averages suggest that extended refits for vessels over 130 meters can cost $30 million to $50 million, depending on propulsion upgrades, interior refurbishment, and security system modernization, all while the yacht continues to incur daily operating expenses exceeding $70,000 per day. What makes Serene different from other superyachts is not just its price tag, but its symbolic weight. At sea, Serene functions as a mobile statement of financial strength, capable of hosting heads of state, securing priceless assets, and operating independently of any national infrastructure. On land, however, its existence has fueled quiet debate within international media, particularly regarding the contrast between domestic economic reform narratives and the visibility of ultra-high-value personal assets abroad. It is important to note that Serene is not a commercial vessel, generates zero charter revenue, and remains fully private. By declining to charter the yacht, its owner forgoes potential annual income estimated at $20 million to $25 million, a deliberate decision that prioritizes control, privacy, and exclusivity over profit. This choice reframes the yacht not as a luxury toy, but as a strategic asset, similar in function to private aircraft fleets or offshore residences. In this context, Serene becomes less about indulgence and more about image management on a global scale. Its size, security, and location send signals without speeches, while its silence invites speculation precisely because information is limited. The yacht does not respond to criticism, it does not justify itself, and it does not need to. At this level of wealth, visibility is optional, accountability is indirect, and power is often expressed not through action, but through presence. If you've been following this journey into the hidden world behind Serene, let us know what surprised you most, because in the next chapter, we will explore how assets like this quietly reshape influence far beyond the horizon. After exploring every corner of Saudi Prince Salman's most expensive yacht, one truth becomes clear. Extreme wealth is not about comfort alone, it is about control, image, and legacy. The first lesson is that luxury at this level becomes a strategic asset where yachts, art, and privacy are used to project global influence. The second lesson is that status symbols scale with power. From a yacht costing over $500 million to artwork valued at $450.3 million, wealth is carefully curated, not randomly spent. The third lesson is that true power often operates quietly, far from public view, hidden offshore, away from scrutiny. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden world of billionaire luxury, make sure to like and subscribe to Billionaire Story for more exclusive stories. Stay tuned for part 2, where we reveal how royal wealth continues far beyond what the public ever gets to see.